again, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about 1917, which is a film that's just out in the cinema just now. And it's a good film. It's this is a short one. I'm not going to dredge on about it. It's a good film. It's not a great film, but it's a good film. It's one of those films that will win lots of awards. Because it's good. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's probably overrated slightly in the sense that they'll focus on its good points and they'll ignore some minor flaws it's got. To say we say it's a masterpiece when it's not, but it's good. It's a really good film. But so Sam Mendes directed it and he wrote it with another writer. And so the idea is there's going to be a push forward, and they found out it's a trap, so they send these two guys from the back to the front line with a letter to say, don't attack, this is a setup, they've set you up to expect the Germans are collapsing, it's a trap, they're going to mow you all down. Now, for some reason they can't communicate from the back to the front. There's a problem in communications, and so they get this official letter through. The one thing I thought was, well, why didn't they send it in a plane and just drop it in the trench? At least one option, and then also send the guys, because you've got two options and one of them might get there. It's one of those things that I thought about, and it was like, I don't see why they didn't do that, but they conceited the film as an adventure story in World War I, from A to B, and you're going through the hell of war, through this, you've seen the idea of what World War I was through this story. So the conceit is they have to go and do this mission. So that's the conceit. You have to ignore the idea of, well, why don't you just drop in a plane on the front line and someone can grab it and take it with official seal or something. But the fair old fashioned idea. So it's a good idea though as a story. So you can ignore that plot area that you think, well, they could have done this other thing. So there's two guys and they're at the back, but the way it's been set up is even though they're at the back, they're still fighting Germans, there's still no man's land. So because there's a line of different trenches, and they're at one end and the place they're trying to get to is another end, that's apparently been abandoned, waiting for the big push so they can tear down lots of British soldiers. But no one's sure because everyone thinks there's still Germans in there and they think it's a trap. Anyway, so even try to get from the back to the front is difficult because even putting the back I went through hell and they've all lost people and everyone's still dying there, and so it's not just a simple line of trenches, it's a ragged line of trenches, and no one knows what the other person's doing. The communication's garbage, so it's very difficult. So these two soldiers have to walk through no man's land, and that's the story, is them going through no man's land and then going through the different fields and abandoned towns as they travel and to take this information to stop this advance so they can save lives. As they go through, a lot of things happen. There's a wonderful scene through all these tunnels of the old German trenches, and there's booby traps in there as well, and there's an old abandoned farm they have to go through as well. They see planes above them. There's lots of great scenes. There's a scene at night where they've got the city's in flames and all these Germans around, and it's a soldiers trying to go through avoid getting seen. There's lots of wonderful moments, and it's got that influence. It's obviously influenced by Apocalypse Now, the idea of this going from A to B during a war, and you're seeing the sites of the war in this one story. Like something you've never seen in an actual event, but in the story construction you see a whole range of people in the war, and you meet up with one person for a bit, then they go away, you meet another person for a bit. It's more, because of all British soldiers, it's more subdued than Apocalypse Now, but it's the general structure. But it's actually more influenced as a film though, that in a direction, it's more influenced by Kubrick than it is by Coppola. There's lots of stuff in Full Metal Jacket and Paths of Glory is a massive influence in this film. I mean, the one shot, it's one continuous take throughout the film, and you're getting a lot of details in the film through this take. And it's obviously more than one shot, but because you can't do that whole film with that, especially that one adventure story, because there's no way you can do it. But it's done really well because the camera work is not there to show off. Yeah, it's one shot, but you've actually just seen the idea of how the soldiers interpret the environment. So it's going along with them, and there's somebody's behind them, sometimes the side of them, but it's always there to show how they're experiencing it. And it's never there to show off, to make you feel like it's not a suspense thing, although it's used for suspense at times, but it's not its primary function. It's like, what's their experience? Sometimes it's beside them as they're knackered, sometimes it's the side of them as they're terrified, but it's a suggestive experience and suggests something that's unrelenting, that it's never going to end for them, they have to keep going. So that's what's wonderful about it. It's really, it takes what Kubrick to show off the idea, because Birdman did it recently, Russian Art's done it. I liked Russian Art better, the way it did it, but I liked this better than the Birdman version, because the Birdman version, you didn't really need it. It was doing the same thing, you're getting this point of view through the one take thing, but I thought Birdman was trying a bit too hard with it, really. This one it felt more naturalistic to the story. But it was less show-offy, but I thought that worked better. But a lot of the visuals do feel influenced by Kubrick. I mean, there's a point where the film finds this soldier singing to all these other soldiers that are watching him, and that's from Paths of Glory, because that one it's a woman singing, but it's still the same idea, and it's a great homage. It's like, yep, Kubrick did it first, a lot of homage, it works really well in this context of the film, and then we move on. It's wonderful, it's a nice little nod to Paths of Glory. A lot of the going through the different locations feels very much like Kubrick in the second half of Full Metal Jacket. I mean, Mendes seems to be a big Kubrick fan, because you see influence of Kubrick from Jarhead's other film influenced a lot by Full Metal Jacket, because you have the first half of training, the second half of war. Well, in that one, the war never actually comes, it's people waiting for a war. And in Road to Perdition feels like the paranoia of crime, which is very much like in The Killing. Because The Killing has a crime in it, but it's more the paranoia leading up to the crime, the paranoia during the crime. And that's what the Road to Perdition kind of has as well. So Mendes is very Kubrick influenced, but he's not trying to rip him off, it's just there's an influence there. Like the Burnt Out City feels very much like the Burnt Out City in Full Metal Jacket. But it's not one for one, but there's a sniper involved. But it does something different with it, but it's still, you feel the influence. It's like, it's not even trying to hide it, it's just like, yeah, there's an influence there. They cop to it and move on. It's like, it's fine. So, I mean, a lot of the sequences are wonderfully done. There's a couple of moments you're thinking, okay, they're throwing in a couple of diverse soldiers, like a black soldier or a Sikh soldier. Some people object to it, I'm like fine with it. It's not like they're saying half the army's like that, it's just like there's an odd soldier here or there, and it's like, that's fine, I don't care. Some people object, I don't care. It's not a big deal. I mean, Britain's always had people with different nationalities in it. It's not always been pure white, ever. So having an odd person spotted out is different. For me, it's fine, it's just normal. I mean, I'm not sure if that what the policy was in the army then, but I'm sure there was some sort of that, so for me it's fine. But most of it is just white, pale white faces. And a lot of it was shot in Scotland. And there's a bit where a soldier is in the river, trying to get out of the river, because he's escaping the Germans. And it's like, that better not have been shot in Scotland in the winter, because that guy would have been freezing. You know, I looked at the cold, it looked so cold, it was like, ooh, watching it. And it looked very Scottish scenery there. So I was like, I'm sure it's shot in Scotland, and that actor would have been freezing. But there's a lot of great terrific moments, and it's really well paced because it never sticks to one place for too long. It's like you get the point of one scene, and then move on to the next, and move on to the next. It's only like 2 hours long. It's really well paced. You always have a sense of direction, like we have to go here, here's a delay, here's where we need to get to now, here's the next bit we need to get to. It all feels like it's very much motivated. The dialogue feels very right for Britain of the period. Like, you've got the upper class toffs, you've got the lower class who just speak their mind. I've heard some criticism from some Americans saying the dialogue wasn't that great. And you're like, actually, you don't know what you're talking about. If you're actually British, you know that the dialogue is pretty right. You know, it's... Yeah, the Scottish people talk like Scottish people, the English people talk like English people, the toffs speak like toffs. People talk in a normal way though, so there's no one's overly pronounced. I mean, the dialogue is sort of functional in some ways. They're not trying to make big, massive speeches or anything. It's functional, but every accent feels right for that person, what they'd be saying at that time. So it works. The downside of the film really is, I'm trying to avoid any spoilers really, but the downside of the film is what Mendes does a lot in his films is that over literary thing where you might get an odd comment that ties to some bit of literature, or there's a neatness to some of the construction that's too much. It feels like it would work fine in a book, but in a film it's too much because the visuals are too in your face. So it's like the beginning and the end have to have an echo of each other, and if they didn't do that, it would actually have been better for the film. Because I mean, the worst part of the film is the last 5 minutes, really, where it's like you've made all your points. There's a couple of over literary bits here or there, but it's fine. I'm ready to ignore it. The last 5 minutes, it's like, okay, in case you're stupid, here's the point of the film. And it kind of there's that 5 minute bit that comes before the last few seconds that could have just been taken out of the film and it would have been a better film, because the whole film is about the randomness of war, and this bit suddenly is this little bit that tries to connect two characters that would have been better if you'd stuck to the idea that war is inhumane and cruel and it cares for nobody. Instead they try and force some drama somewhere where it's not needed, and it feels like it's a fake out for something you don't need in this film. The film has already made its points, and now you've actually pulled it back a bit to some sort of narrative function that is kind of gets to be what you were trying to say the rest of the film. But then they kind of pull it back the last 2 or 3 seconds where the lead character does something that makes context makes sense of his entire character arc. And it's like, if he'd lost that 5 minutes before that, it would have been a much more devastating moment. But instead you can overwrite it. I'm trying not to see what it is, but it's like it's a bit too neat. And it's kind of annoying because it's like, you almost made it. You were so close, and then you had to try and force some scene you don't need into here. But that's Mendes, that's his big flaw, he does that. A lot of films I really like, I mean, the other two I really like of his is Road to Perdition and Jarhead, and both of those have the same thing where it's like, there's a few overemphases here or there that just get in the way. It's like you were so close and you just had to try and be literary or something. It's like, no, just don't do that. But that's his flaw. You get used to that in a Mendes film. But still a wonderful film. And I highly recommend trying to see it in the cinema, because you need the cinema vision to get the full effect of the World War I. So it's highly recommended, go see it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon in another video.